Hi all, I'm Ritu. I'll be taking biology for you this year. So before starting the classes, we must know which are the biology chapters we have to study in this. And the chapters are Chapter 6, Life Processes, Chapter 7, Control and Coordination, Chapter 8, How do organisms reproduce, Chapter 9, Heredity and Evolution, Chapter 14, Sources of Energy, 15, Our Environment, and 16, Sustainable Management of Natural Resources. So out of 16 chapters in science, in biology, we have 7 chapters to study. So before starting the class, all of you must be get ready with your textbooks and notebooks, and we will be studying the topic sources of energy, that is chapter 14, sources of energy. Now we start with our today's topic, that is chapter 14, sources of energy. So before starting with the topic, we must know, I think you would have studied in smaller grades about energy. What is energy? Energy is actually the capacity to do work. And energy, there are certain facts about energy that also you would have studied in smaller grades. That is, energy is there everywhere and it exists in a lot of forms. And according to law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. And energy comes in one form, can be converted to another form. So for example, if we consider a plate, if we are about to drop a plate which is kept in a certain height, and which energy is actually possessed by that plate? That plate actually possesses the potential energy, the energy which is present, or when we study, energy comes in different forms, and the energy in one form can be converted to another form. For example, when we consider a plate, or if we drop a plate from certain height, the plate in certain height will be having the potential energy, and when we drop the plate falls on the ground and it produces the sound. So here the potential energy of the plate which is kept in a certain height will be converted into sound energy. And second example is burning of a candle. In second example, the candle burns so that the chemical energy which is present in the wax will be converted to light and heat energy. Here, the light and heat energy which is produced by burning of candle cannot be put back to form the chemical energy which is actually present in the wax. So, we must know about the sources. Which are the sources and how a good source of energy will be. So in this chapter, we will be studying about the sources of energy in detail. So first, now before starting with our topic sources of energy, we must know the need of energy in our daily life. We need energy for making food, and for lighting, for transport, for running machines, and for industrial activities, agricultural ones, etc. There are a lot of instances where we need energy to do our daily activities. So we need energy for making food, lighting, transport, running machines, industrial activities, and for various agricultural activities. So now we'll see the definition for a source of energy. A source of energy is one which provides adequate amount of energy in a convenient form over a long period of time. A source is one which can provide energy for a long period of time, and there are certain good qualities that are needed for a good source of energy, and they are, which would do, a source of energy should be like, which would do a large amount of work per unit mass. It should be cheap and easily available and easy to store and transport. It should be safe to handle and use and does not cause environmental pollution. So these are the qualities that a good source of energy need. And when we study about the source of energy, we must also deal with the term fuel. So when we study about sources of energy, we should deal with the term fuel. So what are fuels? I know you have studied about fuels from smaller grades onwards. Fuels are actually the materials which are burned to produce heat energy. Okay, the materials which are burned to produce heat energy are called as fuels. And the examples for fuels include wood, coal, LPG, kerosene, etc. All these you would have studied in smaller grades. And now we have to study the good qualities of a fuel. The good qualities that a fuel should possess. So, actually, fuel should be having high calorific value which give more heat per unit mass, and it should be burnt without giving out any smoke or harmful gases, and it should have a proper ignition temperature. Given by ignition temperature, ignition temperature is the temperature that is needed to burn a material or burn a fuel. So it should have a proper ignition temperature. Then it should be cheap and easily available and easy to handle, safe to transport. And it should be convenient to store and burn smoothly. So these are the qualities that or characteristics that a good fuel should possess. So by that we have come to the end of introductory part of this chapter. Now we have to study this chapter, that is sources of energy, in detail. So first we have to start with the types of sources of energy. There are two main types of sources. One is conventional source of energy and the other one is non-conventional source of energy. So when we study about these types of energy in detail, conventional source of energy have been used since a long time, but non-conventional sources are recently discovered source of energy. For example, conventional source of energy include fossil fuel. We are using the fossil fuel. Fossil fuel include coal and petroleum, and we have been using the fossil fuels for since a long time. But non-conventional source, the example for non-conventional source is actually geothermal energy, energy from the ocean, etc. So these are actually recently discovered energy and we are not widely using it. But the conventional source of energy is common and widely used. And non-conventional source, relatively new source of energy and hence it's not widely used. Now when we see the conventional source, most of the conventional sources causes pollution. But non-conventional sources, they do not cause much pollution. And these conventional sources are normally non-renewable source. But non-conventional source, they are actually, or most of them are renewable. So these are the two different sources of energy. One is conventional source of energy, which is widely used, and non-conventional source of energy. So now we are going to study about conventional source of energy in detail. Okay, now we have to study about conventional source of energy in detail. Conventional source of energy is actually, they are actually the sources which are known to most of the people. They are actually known to most of the people. So now we have to study about the conventional source of energy in detail. And that includes the fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, which includes coal and petroleum. So fossil fuels are actually included in conventional source of energy. And so now we'll study about fossil fuels in detail. So what are fossil fuels? They are actually the fuels which are developed or derived from fossils. Okay, so when we say like that, what do you mean by fossils? What do you mean by fossils? Fossils are actually the dead remains of prehistoric plant or animal which are embedded in rock. So that we will be studying about fossilization, everything in detail in the chapter Heredity and Evolution. So fossils are actually the dead remains of plants and animals which are of prehistoric animals which are embedded in rocks. So these fossil fuels are the fuel which are developed or derived from the fossils. And actually, for the formation of fossil fuel, it takes millions of years. Millions of years is needed for the formation of fossil fuels. And it is available in limited amount. It is also a disadvantage of fossil fuel. Actually, it takes a lot of time for the formation of fossil fuel, and also it is available in limited form. And they are actually non-renewable source of energy. Our India will be having 6% share in the world reserve coal, and that may last for next 250 years if we use it in the present rate. The rate at which we are using it, we continue to use it in the same rate, it will last only for coming 250 years more. That's it. We have only 6% of share of reserved coal in the world. Okay, so now we have to study about the pollution that is caused by fossil fuel or the disadvantages of fossil fuels. So now we have to study the pollution caused by fossil fuel. Burning of fossil fuel leads to the formation or release of oxides of carbon, nitrogen and sulfur, which is acidic in nature. So these oxides will lead to acid rain. Acid rain has many bad effects. Acid rain will damage the trees and plants and also affect the fertility of the soil. And burning of fossil fuel also release carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, which lead to the increase in temperature. Temperature of the Earth's atmosphere will rise due to the excessive release of carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. So that leads to the increase in temperature. So these are the disadvantages of using fossil fuels. So how can we overcome these disadvantages? We can overcome it by increasing the efficiency of combustion process. We can increase or we can overcome the bad effects of fossil fuels by increasing the efficiency of combustion process, and also using various techniques to reduce the escape of harmful some gases and ashes to the surrounding. So there are two methods by which we can overcome or control the pollution that is caused by fossil fuels. One is by increasing the efficiency of combustion process, and also by preventing the harmful gases and ashes to surrounding. So these are the two methods by which we can control the pollution that is caused by fossil fuel. So fossil fuels has got disadvantages. It causes pollution, that is the oxides of carbon, nitrogen and sulfur, which is released to the atmosphere, which is acidic in nature, leads to acid rain, and that affects the acid rain may affect the health of the trees and plants and also affect the fertility of the soil. And carbon dioxide, which is released by the burning of fossil fuels, which is a greenhouse gas, will increases the atmospheric temperature. So these are the disadvantages of using fossil fuel, but that can be, or we can overcome the disadvantages by increasing the efficiency of combustion process and also by preventing the entry of gases by adopting the various techniques to prevent the entry of harmful gases and ashes to the surrounding. So that's all about the fossil fuels. Next, we have to study about the second conventional source of energy, that is thermal power plant. Now it's about thermal power plants. That is the next conventional source of energy. Thermal power plants is a power plant actually which uses heat energy to generate the electric power. Thermal power plants are actually the power plants which uses the heat energy to generate the electric power. Here actually the heat energy is produced by the burning of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, etc. So the burning of fossil fuels will generate the steam. In the thermal power plant, the burning of fossil fuels will take place and that will generate the steam, and this steam will help to rotate the turbine, and turbine rotation, the rotation of turbine actually converted into electricity by the help of dynamo and the generator. Dynamo and generators convert mechanical rotations into electric power. So dynamo and generator help to convert the mechanical rotations into electric power. And so once again, repeating, thermal power plants are actually the power plants where we use the heat energy to generate the electric power. And here the heat energy is actually produced by the burning of fossil fuels, and burning of fossil fuels lead to the formation of steam, large amount of steam, and this steam will rotate the turbine, and this turbine rotation can be converted into electricity by the help of generators. Usually the thermal power plants are set up near the coal or oil fields. Usually these thermal power plants are set up near the coal and oil fields. This is to minimize the cost of production and transportation. It takes much amount, or it will be very expensive for the transportation, and also for the cost production will be high. Cost will be high. So to reduce that, usually thermal power plants will be set up near the coal or oil fields so that we can minimize the cost of production and also the cost of transportation. And the transmission, here in this case the transmission of electricity is more efficient. Transmission of electricity will be more efficient in the case of thermal power plants. So this is the next conventional source of energy. And now next we will be studying about hydro power plants in detail. Now next topic which we have to study is hydro power plants. Hydro power plants are the power plants where the power is derived from the energy of falling or fast running water. Here actually the power is derived from the energy of falling water or fast running water, and here it helps to convert the potential energy of falling water. Falling water means the water which is falling from a certain height. It will be having potential energy. So the potential energy of the falling water can be converted to form electricity. So usually hydro power plants are associated with dams. You know dams. Dams are actually built to obstruct the flow of water. So here high-rise dams can be constructed on a river, and this obstruct the flow of water. So the water flow will be obstructed by building the dams so that the water level will rise in the reservoir. The level of water will rise in the reservoir. The water will get collected in the reservoirs. Water level rises. So when the water level rises, the kinetic energy of the flowing water will be converted to form the potential energy. The water level rises so that it reaches a certain height, so that the kinetic energy of the flowing water can be obstructed by the dams, and that can be converted to form the potential energy, and this potential energy can be converted to form the electricity. So water from high levels can be carried through certain pipes. These are the pipes. So through the sluice gate, this water can be opened and closed. So the water can be flowed through the, it can be flown through the or carried through the pipes, and that can be carried to the turbine which is kept at the bottom of the power plant. So this water helps to rotate the turbine, and the rotation of turbine will help to generate the electricity. So the water the water in the river or the flowing water can be obstructed by constructing high rise dams, so that the water flow will get obstructed. Then in the reservoir the water will get collected, the level of water increases. So once the water level increases, that the kinetic energy of flowing water will be converted to form the potential energy, and these water can be carried through the pipes which is can be carried to the turbine which is kept in the bottom of the power plant, and this turbine will rotate to generate the electricity. That's how the hydro power plants work. So in hydropower plants, the power is actually derived from the potential energy of the falling water. The falling water will have a certain potential energy. So this potential energy can be converted to electricity in hydro power plants. Okay. Now we'll study another important topic, that is problems associated with construction of big dams. Usually this question comes for your board exam for 3 mark. It usually comes, it's repeated question actually. So the problems associated with construction of big dams, important, you have to study. First problem is, dams can be constructed only in a limited number of places, especially in hilly terrains. So it can be constructed only in hilly terrain. So limited places, limited number of places only we can construct the dams. So that is one of the limitation of construction of big dams. Second one is, agricultural land and human habitation will get displaced. Large areas of agricultural land will get displaced, and large areas of human habitation also will get displaced by the construction of large dams. Next is, large ecosystems are destroyed when submerged under water. So when we construct a dam, it submerges the nearby ecosystem. So large areas of or large ecosystem will get submerged under the water, and so that it will get destroyed. The next one is the submerged vegetation. The vegetation means the plants. The plants which get submerged under the water will get rotted. It rots under anaerobic condition. Underwater the conditions become anaerobic for the vegetation to grow, so it starts rotting. Then what happens? The rotting vegetation will start releasing methane. What is the specialty of methane? Methane, like carbon dioxide, is a greenhouse gas. So the level of methane increases, means that leads to the greenhouse effects and increase in the atmospheric temperature. So the submerged vegetation rots under anaerobic conditions and release the methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas, leads to the increase in temperature. Then the next problem is associated with the rehabilitation of displaced people. We said large number of people will get displaced. They lose their house. So the problem associated with it is rehabilitation. These people have to stay somewhere, no? So we have to arrange alternative method for the stay of these people which get displaced by the construction of dams. So these are the major problems associated with the construction of big dams. It's very important topic, and once again, so when we build the dam, there is the number of places is limited. Only the places like hilly terrain is preferable for the construction of dams, and large areas of agricultural land and also human habitation will get displaced by the construction of large dams. And large ecosystems are get destroyed. They get destroyed. Ecosystem are destroyed when it gets submerged under the water. And submerged vegetation grows under anaerobic condition and release the methane gas, which is greenhouse gas. And also the problem associated with the rehabilitation of the displaced people. We know about Tehri Dam, oppositions of Tehri Dam, which is built in Ganga, opposition for Sardar Sarovar Dam in Narmada. All these are due to these problems. So this is important study.